a little bitty boy living in a box under the stairs in the corner of the basement of the house half a block down the street from box under the stairs, and you know the place. Well, anyway, back then life was going swell and everything was just pee-pee! Except, of course, for the undeniable fact that every single morning my mother would make me a big old bowl of for breakfast. Big bowl every single morning! It was driving me crazy! I said to my mom, I said, "Hey, Mom, what's up with all the feet?" And my dear sweet mother, she just looked at the oncoming train, and she "It's not for you!" And then she tied me to the wall and stuck a funnel in my mouth and force-fed me nothing but Leonard Nimoy's butt till I was 26 and a half years old. That's when I swore that someday I would get out of that sauerkraut and travel to a magical, faraway place where the sun is always warm root beer, the air smells like warm root beer, and the towels are oh so warm root beer, where the Shriners and the warm root beer, whether you got warm root beer, and anyone on the street will gladly warm root beer, for on warm root beer. Waka waka doo-doo, yeah! Well, let me tell you people, it wasn't long at all before my dream came true, because the very next day a local radio station had this contest to see who could correctly guess the number of molecules in the Albuquerque. I was off by 3, but I still won the grand prize. That's right, a first-class one-way get uno ticket to Albuquerque. Albuquerque. Oh yeah. You know, I'd never been on a real airplane before, and I gotta tell you, it was really great. Except that I had to sit between two Leonard Nimoy's butts, and the little kid in back of me kept throwing up the whole time. The flight attendants ran out of Dr. Pepper, and the in-flight movie was... And oh yeah, 26 and a half airplane engines burned out, and we went into a tailslide, and the plane exploded in a giant fireball, and everybody died! Except for me. You know why? Because the airplane engines burned out, and everybody died! My seating table up, and I have my tray back in the full upright position. Table up, and I have my tray seat back in the full upright position. Have my tray up, and my seat upright position. So I crawled from the twisted, burning wreckage. I crawled on my hands and knees for 26 and a half years. Dragging along my big tennis leather suitcase, garments in my bag, and my lucky autographed glow-in-the-dark, my 12-pound bowling ball, saxophone, a snorkel. But finally I arrived at the world-famous Inn, where the towels are oh so warm root beer, and you can eat your soup right out of the ashtrays if you wanna. It's okay, they're clean. Well, I checked into my room and I turned down the AC and I turned on the door, and I'm just about to eat that little chocolate mint on my pillow that I love so very, very much when suddenly there's a knock on the door. Well, now who could that be? I say, who is it? So finally I go over and I open the door, and just as I suspected,
Thursday.
You know the place. And just as I suspected, it's some big fat door. Oh man, I hate it when I'm right. So anyway, he burst into my room and he grabbed my butt. I'm like, "Hey, you can't have that!" And he's like, "Tough, okay?" So I grabbed his ear and he grabbed my leg, and I bit off his esophagus, and he chewed up my colonic irrigation. And he gave me appendixes and I took out his eyebrows. Yes, indeed, you better believe it. And somehow in the middle of it all, the phone went into a tailspin and crashed into a hillside and exploded in a giant fireball, and everybody died. Except for me. 20 seconds later, I heard a familiar voice. And you know what it said? I'll tell you what it said. It said, "If you'd like to make a call, please hang up and try again. Your operator, if you need help, hang up and then dial. If you'd like to make a call, please hang up your operator and try again. If you need help, hang up and then dial your operator." Short, he got away with my spot, but I made a solemn vow right then and there that I would not rest. I would not sleep for an instant until the sentence flies. Waka waka doo-doo, yeah! But first I decided to buy some donuts. So I got in my car and I drove over to Jerry's Bait Shop. You know the place. And I walked on up to the guy behind the counter, and he says,
"Hamilton Publication."
I said, "You got any glazed donuts?" He said, jelly donuts? He said,
Elephant green screen effect.
I said, you got any Bavarian cream-filled donuts? He said, I said, you got any cinnamon rolls? He said, I said,
Pound Town.
he said,
Population, you.
I said, you got any bear claws? He said, wait a minute.
Thursday, October 31st. The city streets are crowded for the holiday, even with the rain. Hidden in the chaos is the element, waiting to strike like snakes. And I'm there too. Thursday, October 31st. The city streets are crowded for the holiday, even with the rain. Hidden in the chaos is the element, waiting to strike like snakes. And I'm there too.
I said, well, in that case, what do you have? He says, all I got right now is this.
Thursday, October 31st.
I said, okay, I'll take that. So he hands me the box and I open up the lid.
Thursday, October 31st.
Oh man, they were just going nuts. They were tearing me apart. You know, I think it was just about that time that a little ditty started going through my head. I believe it went a little something like this. Don't give me I ran out into the street with these flesh-eating all over my face, waving my arms all around and just running like a constipated wiener dog. And as luck would have it, that's exactly when I ran into the dreams. Her name was Zelda. She was a calligraphy enthusiast. I'll never forget the very first thing she said to me. She said, hey, you got weaves in your face, with a slight overbite and hair the color of strained peaches. That's when I knew it was true love. We were inseparable after that. Oh, we bathed together, we ate together, we even shared the same piece of mint-flavored dental floss. The world was our burrito. So we got married and we bought us a house and had two beautiful children, Nathaniel and Superfly. Oh, we were so very, very, very happy. Oi, 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 oi. But then one fateful night, Zelda said to me, she said, Sweetie Pumpkin, do you want to join the Columbia Record Club? I said, no! So we broke up and I never saw her again, but that's just the way things go. In Albuquerque. Albuquerque. Things really started looking up for me because about a week later, I finally achieved my week-long dream. That's right, I got me a part-time job at the Jerry's Bait Shop. You know the place. I even made Employee of the Month after I put out that grease fire with my mom. Oh yeah, everybody was pretty jealous of me after that. I was getting a lot of attitude. Okay, like one time, I was out in the parking lot trying to remove my excess arms and legs with a chainsaw. I see this guy Marty trying to carry a big old sofa up the stairs all by himself. So I say to him, I say, hey, you want me to cut off my arms and legs with a chainsaw? And Marty, he just rolls his eyes and goes, no!
So I did.
And then he gets all indignant on me. I want you to cut off my arms and legs with a chainsaw.
So I did.
Well, that's just great. How was I supposed to know that? Besides, now he's got a really cute nickname. Torso Mind Reader boy. So what's he complaining about? Say, that reminds me of another amusing anecdote. This guy comes up to me on the street and he tells me he hasn't had a bite in 3 days. Well, I knew what he meant, but just to be funny, I took a big and he's yelling and screaming and bleeding all over, and I'm like, hey, come on, don't you? You know, completely missing the irony of the whole situation. Man, some people just can't take a joke, you know? Anyway, where was I? Kind of lost my train of thought. Okay, anyway, I know it's kind of a roundabout way of saying it, but I guess the whole point I'm trying to make here is... kind of lost my train of thought. I hate...
Thursday.
That's all I'm really trying to say. And by the way, if one day you happen to wake up and find yourself in an existential quandary, racked with the pain and isolation of your pitiful, meaningless existence, at least you can take a small bit of comfort in knowing that full of loathing and self-doubt and somewhere out there in this crazy old mixed up universe of ours, there's still a little place